Hello everyone! Today is the 10th of June and if you're here, you know what that means. That means it's the day to buy the Studio Ghibli tickets for the next 3 months. So me and my cousins are going to Japan in September, so we wanted to buy tickets for the beginning of September, and that means that we had to buy them in June, today, the 10th of June. So the good news is that from September 2023, you can access, as a foreigner, everything in the Studio Ghibli Park. So the Grand Warehouse, the Hill of Youth, and the Dondoko Forest, which is really good. And finally we're able to see, because before foreigners could only access the Grand Warehouse because of COVID restrictions. The bad news is that technically you don't have that much time to see everything. You might have to choose between the Hill of Youth and the Dondoko Forest. Basically, Japanese people get so many slots, like every half an hour they have a different slot they can enter the attractions, but foreign people are only given 2 slots. So maybe, for example, the Grand Warehouse is one at 12 p.m. and the other one is at 2 p.m. and those are the only times you can get in. So what we thought we could do was that we could book Hill of Youth for 10 a.m. and then at 12 p.m. the Grand Warehouse, and then at 3 p.m. the Dondoko Forest. And we did it like that because the Grand Warehouse is the biggest one. It needs at least 3 hours to see. So from 12 to 3 we'd be seeing the Grand Warehouse, and then from 3 to 5, which is when the park closes, we would see the Dondoko Forest, which is also quite big. It has a trail, you can see the nature and all of that. So the last one is Hill of Youth, which is the smallest one, and it takes around 1 hour to see, but the only slots they have for Hill of Youth is at 11 a.m. or at 3 p.m. if I'm not mistaken, which means that if we wanted to see Hill of Youth, we can only do it at 11 a.m. and we would probably only have half an hour to see it until we have to walk away and go to the Grand Warehouse to get in at 12. And I was like, this feels a bit discriminatory, because why do Japanese people get all these slots? Like, if the problem is not COVID anymore, if they decided to open the park for foreigners to see everything, why make it like that? Why not give foreigners all of the slots as well? Because this forces us to only spend a little bit of time in the Hill of Youth and rush everything, which is not what you want to do when you're there, because you want to see everything, and also you can't even take any pictures in the Hill of Youth, so you want to really take in everything and like enjoy your time there. I've been supporting Hayao Miyazaki since my childhood. I've been supporting him, and I'm not about to get like discriminated against. So me and my cousins were like, once we found out how to get these tickets, trust, you'll be dealt with. And so that's exactly what we did. In this video, I'm not gonna tell you how to book the tickets, because that's a very, very long process to explain. And this YouTuber that I found, she's really, really good at explaining that. She did an amazing job at explaining how to book the tickets. So that's the video we used to book our tickets as well. What I'm gonna talk about here is a few things that have changed since the COVID restrictions changed, and also some things here and there that the other video didn't mention and that we weren't really expecting. So the first question that we had was, should we buy an e-ticket or a printed ticket? The thing with electronic tickets is that you have to attach a Japanese phone number, and then once you want to generate the QR code at the door of the park, they will send you a message to that Japanese number, and then you have to verify it, like do the code, and on the same moment they will send you the QR code and you can get in. So what we were thinking at the beginning was like, okay, maybe I can get my Japanese friend to give me her number, I'll use her number, and then when I'm going inside I can just ask her to send me a screenshot of the QR code and I'll show it at the door. But you can't do that. The QR code has to be generated on the spot. Like, you can't, they don't accept screenshots, it has to be done in the moment. So unless she comes with us and is there with us to generate the code right away at the door, then it's not gonna happen. So many people, I think they bought the electronic ticket and then they couldn't get the ticket because the number either wasn't real or the person who had the number couldn't be there with them. So electronic wasn't a choice for us. Then we thought, okay, let's get the paper one, which has to be printed at a Lawson store using a looping machine, and the QR code is generated through a link that goes to your email, which is much easier. The only worry that we had is that we were seeing so many people saying that, oh, once you buy the ticket, you have to print it at the Lawson store within 5 days, or you have to print it within 2 months or something like that. And we were like, we are not going to be in Japan for the next 3 months, so once we get there, the ticket will be expired. So how do we pick it up at Lawson? So I was even asking my Japanese friend, like, hey, can you go and pick up the tickets for us? She was like, yeah, I mean, I could, but usually when I buy tickets for anything here in Japan using Lawson, I can pick them up until the day of the concert, of the event, of anything. So I was really confused. I didn't know what to do. And the good thing is that once we book the tickets, it does say that we can pick it up until the day of the event, of the day that we're going to the park. So let's say you booked for the 20th of September, then you could pick it up until the 20th of September. So it's until the day that you're going in. The second thing you should know is to make a Boo account prior of the day of the sale. When you make a login, they'll ask you your email and password and all of that, so make sure it's an email you can access because that's where your tickets are going to. And then this is where people usually get it really confused. So in the beginning, they'll ask you about your kanji name and your katakana name. And this is where people get like, well, I don't have a kanji name, I don't have a katakana name. And then there's a little obligatory sign next to the kanji name, which means that you definitely need to put a kanji name. And then on the katakana name, it doesn't have an obligatory spot. So people think, what am I gonna do? I could translate my name to katakana, but I can't create a kanji name. So what we did was we just translated our names to katakana, both our first and last name, and we put that in the kanji section, and we left the katakana section blank. And it did work like that. So all you have to do is go to Google Translator and translate your first name to katakana and then your last name to katakana and put them there both just with a space in between the two. They ask for the address and the phone number. We just put our ryokan's phone number and address, which worked as well, and they don't send any verification message to the number either, at least they haven't. And then the last thing I would do is to add a payment method to my account, so at least it's just there already. But I would say that when you're doing the purchase, always have a second way of payment. Two of my cousins who were buying on the Japanese website were both trying to pay with Revolut, and one of them was able to pay with no problems. The other one, Revolut blocked the purchase because he thought it was a scam, so we had to use another card that is not on Revolut, just a normal debit bank card, and that one went through. So just always make sure you have a different payment method. And then next thing you should know about is what devices to use to make the booking. So I would say right away, don't use your phone, don't use your iPad, use a computer that is preferably connected to the power at all times. Something that is not very wishy-washy. Like I tried to do it on my iPad and it just wasn't doing it. I would say do it in a computer, and also try to get as many people trying to buy tickets at the same time. The thing about the Studio Ghibli tickets is because we were trying to buy the package deal, which is the Hill of Youth and the Warehouse, and then there's another separate ticket for the Dondoko Forest, which if you know anything about Ghibli Park tickets, you already know that those two are separate, and just because you buy one doesn't mean that you can access the others. So just because you have the Hill of Youth and the Warehouse doesn't mean you can also access the Dondoko Forest. But what we chose to do was, whilst one of us was buying the Grand Warehouse and the Hill of Youth package, the other one was also buying the Dondoko Forest at the same time. So we saved time, so it's less time that we have to wait because other people might be buying tickets at the same time that we are. So we just thought, let's all do it at the same time. And also, whilst 2 of us were trying to buy in the Japanese website, 3 of us were trying to buy in the international website. This is because international tickets don't have the package deal. It's 3 separate tickets. So our plan was, let's try to buy the Japanese ones. If they fail, then we can buy the international ones as well. So the more people you have trying to buy the tickets at the same time, the better. We all woke up at 5 a.m. London time, which is 1 p.m. in Japan time, to buy tickets for 2 p.m. And we were so dead, but it was worth it. We just had to all get together and do it. We got into a FaceTime and just helped each other do it. You should have your cookies on. So find a way to not block the cookies in your computer, because it might like bug the computer or something. And that's not what you want to be worrying about when you're in the queue, because you don't want to mess anything up. So thankfully we had our cookies on, but I don't even know how to like turn them on. Like, I don't want to be worrying about that when I'm waiting in the queue, you know what I mean? And lastly, which many people said as well, that it makes everything worse, is using the translator built-in in the Google. When you do that, the website kind of like crashes. It just starts behaving weirdly. It doesn't like when you're doing that. So that makes things 10 times worse when you're trying to book, because you're navigating a Japanese website full of kanji and you just feel overwhelmed and so scared because you don't know what the hell you're doing. So you just have to open Google Translator in a separate tab and just copy and paste everything at the same time you're doing, which is very stressful, but we did it anyway. So if you can do it, then you can do it too. So the next thing you might be curious about is when to join the queue. So we joined the queue around 19 hours before 2 p.m. in Japan. So we just let it do its thing. We went to sleep, woke up, it was still there. And when we were let in, we had around 800 people in front of us, and we had to wait around 40 minutes for the queue to reach our spot. Once you're booking the tickets, I would say that you don't have to stress too much. You have time, you can do things with calm. Also, don't be like really slow, but you don't have to rush too much, because we were able to do things with like very calm and really think about what we're doing. 15 minutes around that's how long we stayed there. Now, if you're curious, the entry times we chose was for the package, the warehouse and the Hill of Youth at 10 a.m. and then the Dondoko Forest at 3 p.m. So in that package, the entry time only applies to the Hill of Youth. So basically we need to go to Hill of Youth at 10 a.m. that day, but we can go inside the warehouse at any time before 3, and we can spend some time there and just enjoy ourselves. Now, some random things that kind of surprised us when we were booking. At some point, they will ask you what region you're from in Japan, and that's not on the video that I recommended before. And we were like, what the hell, like, what is this? So we just researched like what area of Japan you're staying in, so you know what's the region, so you don't get surprised like that. And also, one thing that wasn't mentioned in the other video, which maybe they've changed, maybe it's a new thing, but at the end, when you finish everything and before you confirm everything, like, you have to like fill in the marketing page. So like, where did you hear from us? Like, where are you staying when you're going there? How are you getting to Ghibli Park? And like, we were like, what is this? Like, we just want to book the tickets. We don't want to answer all of this. We didn't know like we had to translate everything. It was really like, don't tell me that we're missing some information, you know. It was just quite scary, but don't stress, just translate everything and just put it in and it's fine. Or just put random stuff, like, you don't have to be truthful. Yeah, you just do it. And also, don't freak out if when you pay the website kind of goes crazy, because my cousin was trying to pay with Revolut, and then Revolut got blocked, and then she had to pay with the other card. The website got really crazy, and then it wasn't moving anywhere. But don't do anything, just let it be, and at some point you will do something. And then once it's done, even if it looks very weird, you will get a confirmation email, and you will also check in your bank that the money has been taken from your bank, and that will be the proof that you got your ticket. So as long as you have the email and the money has left your bank, then you're all good, you're golden, like you have the ticket. And one last little thing, I mean, who cares? But you might care, who knows. But when you add your bank details to the website, they will take 0.01 yen from your bank, which is almost less than a cent. Yeah, and it's just, I don't know what it is, maybe it's like registration kind of thing, I don't know. Yeah, they just took that from our bank and didn't give it back. But I mean, I'm not stressed about it, but it's just in case you think you're being scammed or something, it's fine. It just does that. So that's basically it for domestic tickets. That's how we did it. But just in case you want to know how to buy the international tickets as well, just remember that you can't go into the attractions earlier. So if you book Hill of Youth, for example, at 11 a.m, you can't show up at 10:30 and think you're gonna be let in. Like, you'll have to wait there until 11, and then they'll let you in at 11, and then from 11 you can just take a look, and you just have to keep in mind that if you book the warehouse for 12 p.m, which is probably the one that you'll choose, then you'll have to make it work so you're at the warehouse at 12, otherwise they don't let you in, which will probably mean that you have maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes to look at the Hill of Youth section. It's around 5 minutes walk from Hill of Youth to the Grand Warehouse, so you can run, you can make it there, but it's not ideal. That's why we chose to go for the domestic tickets. And also for the international tickets, it's not like you can join the queue like 19 hours before. It doesn't work like that. I went to the page where there was like the options for each attraction, and I just waited there, and then maybe 15 minutes before it just opened up and suddenly I was in the queue. So I didn't do anything, I was just staring the page, and then it sent me there. And when I joined, there was around 150 people in front of me, or 200 people, which is not a lot. For the international tickets, it's much easier to buy tickets, I think. It took half an hour around that to get inside the website to buy the tickets. The other inconvenient thing is that you can't make an account beforehand like you can for the domestic tickets. So once you are let in to your turn, then you have to make an account and do all that. So that's also annoying. I would say have your passport ready right next to you, because you need your passport number. And remember that the person who has a passport and put their name on the tickets is the person that shows the tickets at the entrance of the park. The rest of the group can go with that person, but that person is the one that has to basically show the ticket. And also have your Japanese address, like where you're staying during the trip. You're gonna have to put that as well in there. And yeah, lastly, if you're worried that you're not gonna get the domestic tickets, have someone go into the international line, because there's less people trying to buy them, so the chances are that you have time to check if you can buy domestic, and then if in the case of not working, then you can always jump into the international and buy it through the international. So yeah, that's basically it. I think these were the things that we were most confused about, and we couldn't find answers anywhere about it. So finally we got that cleared up, and I hope this really helps you booking tickets from now on after the COVID restrictions are over. I really hope that they change that rule of only having 2 slots for the foreigners, and that people can just book time slots just like the Japanese people. But for now, that's the way you bought tickets. So I don't know, maybe for July tickets they will have everything the same as for Japanese people, but I don't know. If it's not, then this video will definitely help you out. So good luck, and let me know if you have any other things, or maybe discuss in the comments if you have any other questions, and I'll try to answer them. And yeah, that's it. So bye bye. Hello guys.
Oh baby, what are you doing?